It would have been kind of funny. For EDG, really interesting looking draft there. You've got the Jayce in the mid lane. It's not something we see very frequently, but it's starting to prop up a lot more since the start of this year. So when I say recently, I mean over the last sort of maybe 6 months, summer, including this year. But recently, this split, we've seen a lot more of it. And into Sylas as well, really strong lane matchup. So solo lanes, 2 melees effectively. Jayce kind of doubles as both. Sejuani, strong scaling for the side lane. On the opposite side for BLG, it looks like Bin piloting the Ksante with the Sylas and the Vi. So very strong skirmishing on the top side with a bottom lane matchup that we're very, very used to seeing. So, you know, I think that sort of expectation of looking towards the solo lanes here and the junglers is definitely going to be kind of important, because I think across the board you've got matchups which are going to have huge influences not only on the side lane but then also in the team fights, right? Ksante coming off the side lane into team fights is going to be huge. Same thing for Arla on his Fiora. Or he just stays on the side lane and he does what Shanks did in game number 1.
Yeah, it gets that side lane advantage. I'm definitely looking at Shun and Jiejie, rather, to have that early proactivity. Although we have seen Shun opt into a little bit more aggressive style of junglers, obviously his tried and true Nidalees and Kindreds. Jiejie has been much more of those supportive junglers, much more of that facilitation that we've seen him find success on EDG in the past. So the difference in styles not necessarily going to be as much prevalent in this first game, as we do have that supportive style with the Vi for Shun, but I'm looking at where they set their eyes on first, and specifically these solo lanes as well, like we were saying.
Yeah, it has to be said. All right, solo lanes, when you've got this many bruisers in
all the melees, no range. Why would we do that?
All the melee champions. And
yes, Jayce is there. He makes it not count. I don't know.
He's all right. You know what? 1.5 on one side, or 2.5 on one side, 3 on the other, and then a resident sleeper bottom side matchup. Wow, we actually get a pause. I feel like we don't often get these. Hopefully, we'll have this one ironed out very quickly. But as we were saying, solo lanes there on the side of EDG. Looking to definitely be very proactive. You would have to expect you've got a winning matchup in theory and on paper in both the solo lanes and a Sejuani. You're looking to push that lead, right? I think you've got the bottom side to kind of sit there and scale and kind of just soak up the pressure from this Nami Lucian. And then on the opposite end, I feel like you want to just try and shut down, if you're BLG, you know, to the best of your ability, the Zeri Yuumi, and try and push your lead through this Lucian. He's always going to have targets to hit, right? Fortunately, because of the very short range, generally, of the top side. So trying to get him ahead, Elkin on, see what you can work with that. However, of course, when you've got such a potential volatile top side, it's also just going to be the focus. So we'll see what the resource, you know, basket is going to be looking like for both these teams, I guess, as we get into it.
And I'm very much looking forward to see how On and Meiko get out onto the map. I mean, maybe a little bit more so this lane focus for them, but it has been crucial in connecting with Jiejie and Shun. So we'll keep a little side eye on what this bottom lane gets us. Elk obviously getting his comfort. Now this is the 7th game of Lucian for him, so definitely a prevalence on that duo. But we are getting those top side starts for both junglers, and could see those wraparound paths.
Mazel, is it comfort or is it stagnation of the meta? You decide. Open your
comfort
eyes,
or
brother.
Meta. I mean, we have had some different... Okay, come on. Cut the bot lane some breaks. You have Leave, who's played 6 champions. And even Elk has played 5, right? But, like, come on. There's some differences. You can play Ashe. You can play Varus. You can play Sivir. Caitlyn. Got a lot of... Okay, you know, I know we only see these two, but come on, man. Come on.
Look. I
know chat can't really see this. I believe our faces come up and we get to look at the stats down, and as soon as we're talking about this, a graphic comes up to like how many games have been played for both of these, and it's 10 to 18 Lucian, Zeri respectively. So you know, it is what it is.
You know, sometimes it does really feel like the Chinese side can hear us and they're just like, it sounds like they're talking about Zeri Lucian, let's throw that up. Of course, not the case. I think, like you say, I think on the English feed, I think our faces pop up as the casters. But yeah, look, like I said, I'm bottom lane hater number 1. The role didn't need to be buffed again. It's been buffed again. Why? Why was that?
Go on your soapbox, King.
So, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
I will say here, it is interesting. We're seeing kind of darts down bot lane for both junglers. So we aren't going to necessarily see resources given to the solo lanes. Obviously, resources can still be taken, but should be at least first looks of jungle pressure on bottom side.
Yeah, definitely seems to be the case.
Oh my god, he just barely missed that relic projectile. Don't you love it when it just spins around in circles there?
Yeah. Ben's gonna have to be careful because he's starting to approach.
Got these procs coming up here.
Yeah, starting to approach a position where he could just like awkwardly get run down, but also Ksante is always gonna be able to answer around the damage, as you can see. But sustain war is gonna be won by Arla. Naturally, over time with the vital procs plus the grasp, it's just gonna outdo what Bin has available to him. He definitely wants to be careful there, not to give over a lead. It's just one of those matchups where, you know, theoretically Fiora has the counter because you can always riposte basically all of Ksante's kit. But Ksante can always win it, especially level 6. That's where things can get threatening. You always have to be quite careful with that spike. We'll see how that one pans out though, of course. Very volatile lane in general. And the solo lanes are very volatile lanes with these matchups. And hopefully, again, we see Shun and Jiejie impact these lanes more than they impact the bottom side of the map as I say this.
Yeah, so they went away from bot lane.
Yeah.
Ala might be in some trouble here. Does get that trade back. The knockback coming up here though. Bin not able to connect it. Ala gets out. We'll have to TP back to lane.
Yeah, it's just the frustrating part about the fact that Fiora is the top laner though. A lot of very, very predictable CC from both Shun and Bin means that the riposte, a very well-timed riposte, can save you. However, there is so much CC, especially once level 6 comes in, that perhaps it won't even save you as the Fiora. So we'll track that as Shun makes now his second appearance in the mid lane. See how the setup goes.
FoFo barely out of that vault breaker, dodges out of the abduct as well.
Oh, no.
Now Ala looking for the solo bolo top side.
He's got it.
And the duelist is successful.
Yeah, it looks like we came up here, panned up, Bin was stunned, so it looks like he Q3'd and got riposted. Solo kill goes over to Arla, and this is one of those things, you just kind of have to survive this matchup until level 6. As soon as you hit level 6, you've got all the agency you need to win a 1v1. Yeah, it's just Q3, QW, yeah, excellent stuff.
Oh,
really, really well played. Nothing more to say, get run down, get punished. Can't throw out your Q3s willy-nilly like that.
And all I'm saying, I know it's been a while, Ala, a little bit of BLG kryptonite last summer in the playoffs, had those incredible moments, game-changing Gnar ultimates and big flanks and big team fights. I'm not saying it has any mental factors here, but Ala able to come out on top on Bin. And now we're looking at what this unlocks on the rest of the map here, especially for EDG, who are now looking at this dragon.
Yeah, they know they've got the winning topside matchup for now. Pick up the dragon, get it going. Got bottom side shove as well. Meiko just gonna provide a little bit of extra information, a little bit of extra damage. As you can see, leave more than comfortable on the bottom side for now. Elkanon not able to really pressure him off the wave by any means, just shoving back in. Say that pan down is eating a bit of a trade. The response, however, not gonna be too bad. That piercing light, I think, actually missed the lead. Unfortunately, not Elk's fault. It's just one of those kind of skill shots which can very gracefully be sidestepped from time to time. And that dragon will go over to EDG.
Now we look back at these jungle paths, potentially with Shun heading down toward the bottom side. We do get a little bit of hover around this mid lane, which in its own right is no slouch of a matchup as Yagao and FoFo, two storied names in the LPL, going at it. EDG's FoFo, now obviously newly acquired this year, but was on the BLG failed experiment last year, the would-be super team. Maybe a little revenge stoking the fire here against Yagao, the newly acquired BLG mid laner, and, you know, summer champion, no big deal.
No big deal, and of course BLG kind of another attempt at a super team S roster. Definitely want to be. Definitely all the components there, and to me, you know, I feel like super teams kind of get defined as, you know, 4 or 5 very strong players. I prefer it when you've got it like this. You've got 2 or 3 very strong names, especially, of course, in Yagao and Bin. Definitely should. And you've also got names who should be reliable, in theory, right? In Elkanon but they're not necessarily bringing you what you would maybe consider like traditional star power. And I feel like that kind of balance out. You get too much, you get your TLs, your vitalities of the world now. BLG should tick 6. He should have it. Yeah, he's got 6 now, and he's gonna go for it now.
Nice. The flashes are out everywhere, but the bubble connects. Leave tanking up though. He gets finally taken down by Elk. The burn not enough to get a trade pack kill into Shun.
Yeah, really nice. Shun was also waiting on the previous wave, trying to soak up a little bit of XP and bring it up, but he finally ticks over in the brush and just sends it, finds the kill. He will be traded, however, by EDG. They will likely find themselves this Herald uncontested. FoFo is going to come over, clear out this ward, and secure this one. I'm very curious to see where this will go. I expect probably into the top side. Arla now looking for a plate as he is trading in on Bin. And Bin, just off the back of that solo kill, it's just going to feel really rough, maybe, to find a window to try and cede a little bit of control back, have to be said. And I want to see EDG just try and keep Bin in the floor, really. Bin usually is one of the big carries for BLG. So if you can ensure that not only you're giving Arla a platform to stand on, but you're taking that platform away from Bin, all the better. So we'll see how they use this Herald. They're stealing away the blue buff for now, trying to get a little bit of extra pressure down on the side of the map.
Gao not able to connect on the FoFo. FoFo though in some trouble now. Does get the hit back. Jiejie comes in as well as Meiko has joined the fight. The cohesion's starting to come alive, but BLG have gotten a flank with Bin. Over the wall though, Shun is down. Ala has taken off the kill. Now EDG. They almost find 2 more. FoFo played so aggressively against his former team. You gotta love it.
And dude, it looks like On was basically 1 creep away from leveling up in XP. If the tidal wave is there as the entirety of EDG come through this choke, this fight looks so much different. But unfortunately, that's just how it is. On was level 5 throughout the entire fight. And EDG very happily walk away with the kill. Almost finds FoFo as well.
It's a cleanse. It's another big summoner spell in bottom lane gone. As Ala actually being able to collapse this with no TP response from Ben. So EDG getting a lot of gold around the map and having found themselves almost a 3,000 gold lead this early on.
Yeah, and that tower's basically in lethal range now of Herald too. So EDG want it, they can give that gold to Ala. It starts off with Yagao and FoFo on top of each other, but the knockback comes on top of Shun, and the flank engage from Jiejie is good onto Yagao. And they just have to tie back at this point. Shun has nowhere to go. Flash over the wall, gets chased down by Ala. And as you can see, look at On as he retreats back to the mid lane, because a minion dies when he gets 6. If he has tidal wave when EDG are coming from that choke, the turnaround potential is real for BLG. I feel it has to be said. Not saying it would have won the fight, but the fight looks different. Probably a little more BLG favored, at the very least. So kind of unfortunate on that front. But EDG win out, and the Herald. Oh, this Herald go? Okay, it was getting dropped in the mid lane. I was looking at the inventory. I was like, where is it? Why is it? But it was getting dropped in the mid lane. So Herald will charge in the mid side. Won't get that tower on the top side for Arla. I feel like maybe they just want to keep the laning phase going, perhaps. So they'll just give the gold to FoFo. Still feels good to leave as well on the bottom side. It's just everywhere, man. It's
we got
a
3 top, 3 mid,
1 kill difference, but it's a 2.5k gold lead, pretty much, for the side of EDG. It's massive.
That is a first mythic item completed for both sides, though, as Elk has gotten that Gale Force. We also have Ala completing that Divine Sunderer. EDG in front of the Dragon Pit, starting it up here with contest possible from BLG.
Yeah, possible, but how likely? Seems like just kind of twiddling their thumbs. I'm gonna be honest, BLG. EDG just pick up that Dragon for free, and it's an Infernal Rift. All right. Feels like we've had quite utility-based souls today, so getting our first combat one will feel quite nice. Now BLG waiting around here, but I feel like EDG smell this one out. I don't think they're falling victim to this at all.
Gonna take the tower here. My God.
Yeah. See, he's got Divine Sunderer. He will win the 1v1 after the fact as well.
Oh, he's going in. Doesn't hit the riposte. He does hit the grand challenge. Ben, you're in some trouble here. He needs to play against the wall. Bot lane though, there's a tidal wave coming the way, but EDG pull it back. Their Sailors in a storm, and BLG lose out. We got the top side still fighting though.
I don't know if Arla wanted to go for the wall. Maybe he wanted to get away from the all-out Ksante. also looking for the vital at the same time. But we didn't get a look at how the entirety of that bot side play unfolded.
That's Ghost Pop for both of them.
Oh no.
This is an all-in. Bin about to get solo killed again. Does not want that to happen. Back the way.
And just walks out. Not sure how the bottom side play unfolded. Leave was like so aggressively hugging the bush that like surely as BLG you just think, yeah, Jiejie is probably here, right? Like my only assumption is because of how aggressive Arlo was playing on the top side, they assumed the hover was there, and this is why BLG go in. But Jiejie is here on the bottom side, so the turnaround damage is massive onto Shun. And Elphanon just can't really do anything but watch their jungler die.
Looking like it's going right for EDG. Some of that communication, some of that veterancy mixed in with the newer members working out really well. Leave the call up from EDG. You having found so much success with the LDL roster. Now coming in here to the big leagues, paired up with Meiko, who by the way has been playing for EDG for 8 years. That veterancy really shining through and letting Leave pop off, but some of that solo lane performance definitely helping that way.
Feels like a decade, really, more than 8 years. Meiko, such a staple name, not only to EDG, LPL, League of Legends in general. There's a big chunk out of Yagao. Hala is very, very strong at this moment in time. And that will continue to grow to be my very big concern on the side lane. Who's going to match Hala? Because right now it feels like Bin's out of the game already in that front. And Yagao, again, all it takes is a riposte onto the I can't get the word. The Sylas. I get the name. Abduct, abscond.
It's abscond, abduct.
Abscond, abduct.
The chain part, chainy part.
The chainy part. If that gets riposted, it's just a dead 1v1 where Hala comes out top.
Flash
Now,
play from Shun. Capitalization onto Meiko. They've taken out President Kitty Cat. And now they have to take out the rest of them here. Level 11 has been reached by Hala. He's in the side lane, but it is Rift Herald right now in the crosshair of BLG.
Yeah, seems to be the case. Really quick pick onto Meiko. Hala, he's hanging around. He's just like,
does not have TP.
Someone check. He doesn't have TP. I think he should just commit onto the tower because EDG should be making the call that this Herald is not being contested. Looks like that call will come to fruition, and they should just about. Nope, they don't want to step up for it. I think that's also respectable. As there you go, Hala gets his tier 2 tower.
Yagao's like, I just want to stop him. Does not stop the oncoming train that is Hala. A serious bright point for EDG and a welcomed signing for them as we look at that beautiful engage from Shun.
Yeah, Q flash from Shun, and as soon as that CC comes down, Meiko just can't reattach to anybody. I think it's 4 or 5 seconds cooldown once you get CC'd.
Oh,
they turn into a Herald, and we're back down. Short replay. Like that. Hala's got 2 items. We're 16.
Yeah, he's up 3,000 gold on Bin. That ain't pretty. That ain't pretty one bit. It is pretty if you're an EDG fan. And back to my story making.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
A big pain point for EDG last year, when you watched the documentary that came out at the end of the year, was the relationship between Flandre and Jiejie. And I think Hala, who has so much backing and support from a star mid laner like Doonby, and has shown himself ability to carry and ability to be a big target, is a welcome sight for EDG. He's going to have to find a way to pilot this 2-item Fiora lead into these team fights or even the side lanes.
Yeah, I think side lanes for sure. But EDG really want this dragon. I think they've got the first 2. They want to just secure it. With Hala being so strong, he doesn't have to commit to the side lane. He can actually come and be a team fight presence already at 2 items. Just to make sure they can find the target.
Oh, they got Shun. That's a big pick out yet again, going both ways in this game. Dragon on the table here for EDG if they want to turn on it.
Yeah, they can. EDG, they'll get the dragon, almost certainly. BLG just kind of asleep at the wheel, looking for some kind of mid lane priority, picked off so easily. Hala, I mean, riposte, run away. Don't have to commit. Like, it's that simple.
He wanted to keep chasing. I can appreciate that. So now FoFo in the side lane. will need to be answered to while you have a mid lane push coming out from EDG. You have second item completion starting to come up for BLG. Maybe it's a little too late though. But you got Rift Herald as well, needing to be used by Shun.
Yeah, I think where do you use it? To be honest, you've got about a little over a minute to find somewhere. But for now, I feel like BLG. It's a really oppressive feeling 5k gold deficit. I don't know how to, or 6k really almost. Because what are the win conditions now at this point for BLG when you really sort of take a step back and try and look at these team compositions one-to-one, what they want to do? Because for BLG, it would be, you know, forcing plays, trying to, you know, kind of overbear EDG with momentum with all of the engaged tools they have, specifically through forcing through Shun. But EDG can very happily sit back and poke, can very happily tank up, heal back up that poke, but also disengage so effectively, whilst also winning the side lane. So it feels like
my God, they denied it.
They did. The ball is really in BLG's court to try and get creative here. Otherwise, EDG are probably going to just win this one by default if they play this out as they've been playing it out for the last couple of minutes.
And that's where you look to the likes of Yagao, obviously, a mainstay mid laner, having come over to BLG. You have the likes of Elk as well coming over from Ultra Prime. This transplant team of BLG with the holdover bin, it needs to come together in these kinds of moments. You see, even with Elk having chosen Lucian now 7 times, he's still at 33.5% damage done for his team. So it's not like there's a slouch in damage to potential, but it's mechanically how to position in these fights and not get picked out and not get macro gamed by EDG.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, they are being macro gamed quite hard. EDG, Arla walks away from that side lane attempt, and in the mid lane they just get to tier 2 and they can just very easily rotate up towards the top side, start to take control of the river, and of course the jungle vision control, and just look from tower and then retreat back if they ever feel like that they're overextending. So EDG very happy in this game state. I feel like they're just going to reset now. And BLG again just kind of left wondering what they can actually do about this game state at the moment.
We got Baron coming up about 10 seconds, but Dragon more importantly in 2 minutes and 20 seconds as resets just got completed for EDG. Gold still being scraped up as quickly as possible for BLG. They need to get some vision down around the Baron pit, make sure they can't get duped into a side fight, but it is still about trying to get some space, some real estate onto the map and maybe find one of these picks that have been working out consecutively for Bilibili.
Can find a forced engage with Shun and very quickly remove, perhaps leave. I mean, ideally, Arla, but that won't happen, so probably leave. Then maybe they can find something positive, but as soon as Arla shows up, they're going to have to start retreating and play very, very defensively. 90 seconds now, I think, take a step back. Look at the items. I think FoFo is resetting probably for that Muramana upgrade. There you go, so he's more than online now. And that's a huge spike in damage, which BLG don't really have an answer to. So we'll see what they can actually look for. It's more or less on Elk and On to try and find some kind of burst damage and, again, have it be followed up by BLG. But, man, EDG, they just kept BLG at an arm's length.
And they just really haven't been able to find it in, which I find is so interesting for a team that usually does have that very forward, aggressive stance. And we see here, Elk not afraid to try to get that poke damage in, but gets poked right back. Accelerated shock blast will make Elk think twice. Glacial Prison from Yagao goes wide as Leave is just championing it over here, pushing BLG out of mid lane, while you have Ala pushing in the side lane as well.
Yep, and my question from about 5 minutes ago continues to be unanswered because...
Oh my God!
No, oh my God! I mean, it'll be healed up by On, right? But it's still obnoxious to see. And right now, Arla on the top side of the map, probably going to have to wait on the next wave. He has teleport if he has to come down here. But I'll tell you, if Bin is forced to TP to this team fight, Arla will stay in the top side unless he absolutely feels it necessary as Elk eats another shot blast to come down here.
Yes, he has heals, but man, that is not right. That is finding its way through 4 members to hit Elk over and over again. And they've committed to this fight over the dragon. They don't want to get EDG the Infernal Dragon, but they're losing their base. They're going to TP in Ala. Tidal wave across. Jiejie in the pit. Final chapter on the 3 members. Shun goes out of the pit. BLG don't have anybody left in the pit. And then it got nobody left in the fight. EDG destroy Bilibili. And that's Infernal Soul to boot.
And it's going to be Baron to boot, surely. It's just Bin and Shun alive. Shun, Bin's being run all the way back home. FoFo in the bottom side shoving. They're just going to get all the cookies out of this jar, it feels like, from one plate. If they really want it. It seems like they definitely do. EDG. It's just such a huge draft gap. I don't know what the answers are.
Man, the LG Nightmare Ala has come back into the dreams of BLG from summer playoffs last year. He's not on the Gnar, he's not on the Kennen, it's the Fiora this time he's looking real good on, and it is Baron now for EDG.
But it's just so nice to see EDG, despite, you know, again, losing those household names in Scout and Viper, playing so well into what is still fundamentally a very strong BLG roster, as they're just getting absolutely torn apart by the AoE damage. FoFo removes Elk from the equation. Very quickly makes Yagao regret going back in with the chains. Have nowhere to go realistically though with Leaf behind him. And BLG, I think, back to the drawing board for this game number 2. We of course didn't get a look at the draft in terms of, well, we saw its order in the lower third, but in terms of having a little bit of time to digest perhaps what the thought processes were, it's slightly different, right? Watching a draft live in comparison to seeing that lower third just come up, and that is the draft.
That gold difference in top lane, it just hurt my soul. It's like a 5,000 gold right now on Bin.
Yeah, not bad.
That's that's just a lot. That's a lot. And now they still have Baron for 2 minutes. EDG are pushing in, and I love that you're mentioning kind of that cohesion that's starting to come alive for EDG, it feels like. And you know, there is a big void left when the best ADC in the LPL leaves in Viper and leave an EDG youth prospect who's been in the system since 2021 has to come in and fill his shoes. And it's been incredible to watch EDG, although faltering early on in this season, really coming alive in these late game decision making, the control around the map, Jamada.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to see that just continue to grow, and it certainly should do as this engage comes through.
They get the 3-man final chapter here, though, and there's the acceleration and the speed from EDG. Gale Force comes in, but Leave is just popping in the damage. Oh, Elk! The Ultra Shock Laser, not enough. The bubble comes in, Leave dies. His over-aggression paid for by blood as Elk will go down. He's still alive, he's so tanky. BLG running away, but their base is in tatters, and EDG have won game number 1 of our 3rd series of the night.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't mute as I got myself back in reposition. Sorry for the noise. But EDG, it's a complete slaughter. Absolutely, completely dominated from start to finish. BLG, I don't know, man. This draft. How do you ever answer what EDG have put on the table? Side lane, team fighting, everything just favors EDG. Every facet of what you could potentially play in this meta, it felt like EDG just had the better version of. Back to the drawing board, 100% BLG. Yeah. You know, you can argue maybe you can like force some plays very early on through Shun, and then of course you try and snowball that with Yagao, but we just never got to see that come to fruition, and EDG never gave them the opportunity to do that. So,
and
where do you even go?
It feels like, obviously Shun is good at getting set up junglers as well, right? But it's definitely been more of Jiejie's mantra, it feels like, to get a lot of these facilitation junglers, even the Vi itself, right? Do we see Shun kind of try to go for these aggressive picks into this one now and try to up in Jiejie? Because I feel like you need something in that early game. And not having that kind of confidence to go forward on a lot of those plays and a lot of the hesitancy that we saw from BLG, it can't be there if you're going to go against EDG.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. But to me, I mean, hell, the thing is, we've seen BLG go down this route in their previous series against WE, and it didn't even work. So, you know, if we're talking about maybe Shun potentially leaning on and going towards something like the Nidalee, right, as an example, or maybe he brings out something like the Kindred could come out. How you know, how many times out of 10 is that going to bring you to a game 3 here when EDG are playing on this kind of form, right? I think go back to the drawing board. Do we really want to allow Ala on his Fiora? I feel like the answer has to be no. Remove it away. Like
the solo lanes, man. FoFo and Ala.
You know, FoFo so talented in a lot of these kind of like more leaning into mechanical kind of champions. Your Akalis, your things like Jayce mid, of course, Sylas as well, very, very familiar. Plus giving Ala that much comfort with setup from Jiejie